My name is Theodore, and my twin brother's name is William. When he called me that Tuesday night, I could barely recognize his voice through the sobbing. In 63 years of being his brother, I had never heard him cry like that, and let me tell you, when I found out why something inside me snapped, William and I are identical twins, always have been, always will be. Macy at our age with our gray hair and wrinkled faces, people still can't tell us apart unless they really know us. William got the gentle heart, I got the stubborn streak. Our mama used to say, God split one soul between us and forgot to mix it macily. That phone call changed everything. Theodore, William whispered, his voice cracking, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I sat up in my recliner, mooting the TV. William, what's wrong? Is it your heart again? No, he paused and I heard him struggling to breathe. It's Victoria, it's her mother, it's all of them. I'm trapped, Theodore. I've been trapped for 28 years now. I knew my brother's marriage wasn't perfect. Victoria always seemed cold to me at family gatherings, but trapped I needed to understand. Tell me everything, I said, and he did. For the next 2 hours, my brother poured out 28 years of hell, how Victoria controlled every penny he earned from his job at the factory, how she gave him an allowance of $40 a week while she spent freely, how her mother Margaret moved in 5 years ago and treated him like a servant in his own home, how her brother Richard had borrowed over $30,000 over the years and never paid back a cent, how Victoria screamed at him daily, called him worthless, useless, a waste of space. Last week, William said, his voice hollow, she told me the only good thing I ever did was give her a son, and Macy. Then, she said, I probably messed that up too. My blood ran cold, then it ran hot. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I demanded, because I was ashamed, Theodore. I'm a grown man. I should be able to handle my own wife. What kind of man lets himself be treated this way? The kind of man who has a good heart, I said firmly. The kind of man who deserves better. Listen to me, William. I'm coming down there. What? No, Theodore, you don't need to. I'm coming, I repeated, and I have a plan. You see, William and I hadn't used our twin advantage since we were teenagers, switching places to confuse our teachers, but desperate times call for desperate measures. If William was too beaten down to fight back, then I would do it for him. I would become him, and I would make Victoria and her family regret every cruel word, every stolen dollar, every tear they made my brother shed. I arrived in Ohio 3 days later. William picked me up from the bus station, and my heart broke when I saw him. He had lost weight, his shoulders hunched forward, like he was expecting to be hit. His eyes had lost their spark. This was not the brother I grew up with. This was a man who had been systematically destroyed. Theodore, he said, hugging me weakly, you really came. Of course I came. Now let's go somewhere private and talk. We drove to a diner outside of town where nobody would recognize us. Over coffee and pie, I laid out my plan. William would go stay at my cabin in Pennsylvania for 2 weeks. He would rest. He would recover, and I would take his place at home. William's eyes went wide. Theodore, that's insane. Victoria will. No, she'll figure it out, will she? I asked. When's the last time she actually looked at you? I mean, really looked at you. William thought about it, his face crumpled. I don't remember exactly. She sees right through you, William. She doesn't care enough to notice. That's her weakness, and it's our advantage. I spent the next 2 days learning Everything about William's daily routine. What time he woke up, what he ate for breakfast, where he sat at the dinner table, what shows Victoria watched that. He had to be quiet during, what chores he was expected to do, what insults to expect from Margaret, when Richard typically showed up asking for money. It was worse than I imagined. My brother lived like a prisoner in his own home. On Friday morning, William drove away. My truck, heading for Pennsylvania with a small suitcase and my credit card. He looked terrified, but also hopeful. For the first time in years, I watched until he disappeared around the corner. Then I walked into that house as William. Victoria was in the living room when I entered. She was a thin woman with sharp features and sharper words. She didn't look up from her phone. "You're late," she said flatly. "Mother needs her tea. And the lawn isn't going to mow itself." I stood there for a moment processing. This was it. This was how she greeted her husband. "Good morning to you too," I said. That made her look up. She narrowed her eyes. "Excuse me, now." William had warned me, don't fight back too fast, let them get comfortable. Observe first, understand the battlefield before attacking. He was right. I needed to see exactly how bad things were before I made my move. "Nothing," I muttered, shuffling toward the kitchen. "I'll get the tea." Margaret was sitting at the kitchen table like a queen, waiting for service. She was 81 years old, but mean as a rattlesnake. When she saw me, she snorted. "About time. I've been sitting here for 15 minutes. What kind of man makes an old woman wait for her tea?" I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. "Sorry, Margaret, sorry. Doesn't warm my tea, does it?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Make it right this time. Yesterday it was too weak. I made her tea. I mowed the lawn. I cleaned the gutters. I fixed a leaky faucet. I did everything William normally did, all while being criticized, belittled, and ignored. By dinner time, I understood completely why my brother had broken down, but I also understood something else. Victoria and Margaret were comfortable in their cruelty. They had no idea that the man they were abusing was about to push back, and that made them vulnerable. The first week was reconnaissance. I learned Victoria's routines, her weaknesses, her secrets. I discovered she had a hidden credit card that William didn't know about. I found out she had been putting money into a private account for years. Money that should have been William's. 2. I learned that Margaret complained about everything, but was terrified of being sent to a nursing home, and I found out Richard was coming over on Saturday to ask for another loan. Perfect. Saturday morning, I was ready. Richard showed up around 10:00, all smiles and handshakes. He was a big guy, used to intimidating people. He had that look in his eye that said he expected to get whatever he wanted. "Hey, William," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "How's my favorite brother-in-law?" "I'm your only brother-in-law," I replied. He laughed. "That's what I said, favorite." He lowered his voice. "Listen, I need a small favor. Business opportunity came up and I'm a little short, just 5,000. I'll pay you back next month." I smiled. "Sure, Richard." His eyebrows shot up. He clearly wasn't expecting it to be that easy. "Really? Great, man. I knew you'd come through." "Absolutely," I continued. "Right after you pay back the 32,000 you already owe me." The color drained from his face. "What, you heard me?" I pulled out a piece of paper from my pocket. William had kept records, meticulous records of every loan, every promise, every lie. September 2019. $3,000 for your truck. February 2020. $5,000 for your gambling debt. August 2021. 8,000 for your investment scheme that never existed. Should I continue? William, come on, man, we're family. You know I'm good for it. Family pays there. Debts, Richard. I stepped closer and for the first time he looked uncertain. I want every penny back. You have 30 days. Or what? He tried to puff up too. Intimidate me like he always did. I didn't flinch, or I tell your wife about Denise. Richard went white as a sheet. William had mentioned Denise once. Woman Richard had been seeing behind his wife's back. William had kept the secret. Because he was kind, I was not kind. You wouldn't, Richard whispered. Try me. I opened the front door. 30 days, now get out of my house. He stumbled out like a man who had seen a ghost. I closed the door and allowed myself a small smile. One down. Victoria and Margaret had watched the whole thing from the living room. They looked stunned. William, Victoria said slowly, what has gotten into you? I turned to face her. What do you mean? That was my brother. You can't talk to him like that. I can, and I did. I walked past her toward the kitchen. I'm tired of being his personal ATM. If you want to give him money, give him yours. She followed me, her heels clicking on the hardwood. My money, it's our money, William, is it? I turned around so fast, she almost ran into me. Then why don't I have access to the savings account you opened in 2017? The one with $42,000 in it. Her jaw dropped. For a moment, the mask slipped and I saw genuine fear in her eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And we're going to discuss it tonight. After dinner, I left her standing there, speechless. That night at dinner, Margaret complained about the pot roast. Normally, according to William, he would apologize and try to make it right. Instead, I set down my fork and looked at her. Margaret, if my cooking doesn't meet your standards, you're welcome to make your own meals. The table went silent. Excuse me. Margaret's eyes bulged. You heard me. You've been living in this house for 5 years rent-free. You don't cook, you don't clean, you don't contribute. The least you could do is eat what's put in front of you without complaint. Victoria. Margaret turned to her daughter. Are you going to let him speak to me like this? Victoria was still rattled from our earlier conversation. Mother, maybe you should. Maybe I should what? I won't be disrespected in my own home. This isn't your home, I said calmly. It's my home. I pay the mortgage, I pay the bills, I fix what breaks, I mow the lawn, I do everything around here while you sit and criticize. So if you don't like it, you can find somewhere else to live. Margaret's face turned purple. I'm calling Richard. Richard is dealing with his own problems right now. He won't be much help. She looked like she wanted to say more, but something in my expression stopped her. For the first time, she actually looked nervous. She got up from the table and retreated to her room. Without another word, one by one I was taking back control. The next few days were tense. Victoria watched me like a hawk, trying to figure out what had changed. Margaret stayed in her room most of the time, only coming out for meals, which she ate in silence. The power dynamic in that house had shifted, and they could feel it, but I wasn't done yet. On Tuesday, William's son, Tommy, came home from college for a visit. He was 24, a good kid who had somehow survived being raised by Victoria. He looked just as worn down as his father. Hey, Dad, he said, giving me a hug. You look different. Different how? I don't know. He studied my face. You seem taller. You start working out or something. I smiled. Tommy was observant. Something like that. That night, Tommy and I sat on the back porch after dinner. He was quiet for a long time, and then he said something that broke my heart. Dad, I'm sorry I haven't been around more. I know. Mom is hard on you. I didn't know how to help. I put my hand on his shoulder. Tommy, I need you to listen to me. What happens in this house, the way your mother treats me, that's not normal, and it's not okay. Do you understand? His eyes filled with tears. I know, I've always known. I just thought if I was good enough, if I did everything right, maybe she would be happy. Maybe she would stop being so mean. That's not how it works. Son, you can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed, and you are not responsible for your mother's behavior. Do you hear me? He nodded, wiping his eyes. What are you going to do, Dad? I'm going to make some changes, I said. Big changes, and I want you to know that no matter what happens, I love you. Father loves you more than anything in this world. He looked at me strangely for a moment, then hugged me tight. I love you too, Dad. I held him close, feeling like a fraud and a hero at the same time. William should have been here for this moment, but William had never been strong enough to have this conversation. I was doing it for him. The showdown came on Friday night. I had prepared for days. I had gathered evidence of Victoria's hidden accounts. I had documented years of financial abuse. I had printed out records of Richard's unpaid loans. I had Macy found emails where Victoria and her mother discussed how to keep William under control. We sat in the living room. Victoria, Margaret, and me. Tommy had gone back to school, which was for the best. He didn't need to see this. We need to talk, I said. Victoria crossed her arms. Fine, talk. I laid everything out on the coffee table. Bank statements, credit card records, emails, everything. For 28 years, you have controlled me. Financially, you have taken my paychecks and given me an allowance like a child. You have hidden money from me. You have let your mother live here for free while treating me like a servant. You have let your brother steal from me, and you have made me feel worthless every single day. Victoria's face hardened. That's ridiculous. Everything I did was for this family. No, I shook my head. Everything you did was for yourself, and it ends now. What are you saying? I'm saying I want a divorce. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Margaret gasped. Victoria's composure cracked. You can't divorce me, Victoria said, her voice rising. You don't have the guts. You've never had the guts for anything. I do. Now. I stood up. I've already talked to a lawyer. I have documentation of everything, the hidden accounts, the financial abuse, all of it. I'll get half of everything, including the money you've been hiding. Victoria jumped to her feet. You'll get nothing. I'll make sure of it. I'll tell everyone what a pathetic, useless man you are. Go ahead. I looked her straight in the eye. I'm not afraid of you anymore. And in that moment, something shifted. Victoria saw that she had lost her power. The man she had controlled for nearly 3 decades was finally standing up, and she didn't know what to do. Margaret tried to intervene. Now, William, let's be reasonable. Victoria loves you. We all love you. We can work this out. You don't love me, Margaret. You never did. You saw me as a meal ticket and a servant. Both of you did. I picked up my papers. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. I'm keeping the house. My lawyer says I have a strong case, and I intend to fight for everything I deserve. Victoria started screaming. She screamed about how I was nothing without her, how I would fail on my own, how I would come crawling back I let her scream. It didn't hurt. Anymore, when you've been kicked down. For so long, when someone finally lets you get back up, the kicks don't land. The same way, I walked out of that living room and went to bed. For the first time in 28 years, William's side of the bed felt like victory. The next morning, I called William. It's done, I said. I started the divorce process. I stood up to Victoria, to Margaret, to Richard. I got everything documented. You just need to come back and finish it. There was silence on the other end. William, are you there? I'm here. His voice was thick with emotion. Theodore, I don't know what to say. I've been at your cabin this whole time, and I finally remembered what it feels like to breathe. I forgot what peace felt like. You're going to have plenty of peace. From now on, I promised. Come home. Brother, come home and start your new life. He arrived 2 days later. We made the switch again, and I drove back to Pennsylvania with a heart full of pride. William had a long road ahead. The divorce would be messy. Victoria would fight, but she would lose because for the first time, William had evidence, lawyer, and most importantly, his self-respect. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. William got the house. Victoria was forced to split the hidden savings. Richard, facing exposure of his affair, finally paid back every cent he owed. Margaret moved to a retirement community in Florida, far away from everyone. And William called me on a sunny afternoon, his voice lighter than I had heard it in decades. Theodore, he said. I went on a date. I laughed. A date? William, you old dog. Her name is Patricia. She's a widow from church. She actually listens when I talk. Theodore, she laughs at my jokes. She thinks I'm interesting. You are interesting, I said. You always were. You just forgot because someone kept telling you otherwise. I know that now. He paused. Theodore, I can never thank you enough for what you did. You saved my life. That's what brothers are for, I said, especially twin brothers. Tommy called me a few weeks later. He had figured out what happened, probably from putting together the timeline and noticing subtle differences in his father's behavior during those 2 weeks. He didn't say it directly, but he knew. Uncle Theodore, he said, thank you for whatever you did. My dad is like a different person. He smiles now. He laughs. He's actually living. Your father was always capable of being that person. I told him he just needed someone to remind him. Well, whoever reminded him, they're a hero. I hung up the phone and looked out the window of my cabin. The leaves were turning gold and red, and the air smelled like autumn. Somewhere in Ohio, my brother was finally free. Victoria was probably still angry, still bitter, still blaming everyone but herself. But that wasn't William's problem anymore. Some people ask me if what I did was right. Was it deceptive? Was it fair? Was it ethical? To pretend to be someone else. I don't lose sleep over those questions because here's what I know. My brother suffered for 28 years. 28 years of being told he was nothing. 28 years of having his money stolen, his dignity stripped, his spirit crushed, and in 2 weeks I gave him his life back. If that's wrong, then I don't want to be right. William and I are 71 now. He's been married to Patricia for 7 years, and they're happy. Tommy has kids of his own, and William is the kind of grandfather he always wanted to be. We have dinner together every Sunday, and we talk about everything. Except those 2 weeks. We don't need to talk about them. We both know what happened. We both know what it meant. Being a twin is a blessing. You come into this world with someone who shares Your face, your blood, your soul. And when that person is hurting, you feel it. Like it's your own pain. I couldn't stand by while my brother drowned, so jumped in and swam for both of us. That's what family does. That's what love does.